Talking a lot around disability inclusion. I think somewhere we are missing the mark on disability inclusion. While the corporate, or for that matter, the government of India has come up with two great policy changes. One is the CSR Act, and second one is Rights for Persons with Disability Act. And corporate India has embraced the two. And what they have really done in terms of the trends is to consider disability as one of their corporate philanthropic efforts, which is a great thing to start with, but have we really looked at even scratching the iceberg? In my view, no. We've just touched the tip of the iceberg. So where are we really today in that journey, right? So my talk today is going to be around the math, the myth, and disability inclusion. So, spoiler alert, there's going to be the 5th grade and 6th grade math that you all have to solve. So get your paper and pen ready for it, and we go from here, right? Alright, the numbers that you see there. So world population, 730 crores. What is the disability population there? 100 crores. And this 100 crores is only representative of visible disabilities. Just to put that in perspective, India population is 130 crores, just minus the 30 crores who live in high up the mountains and hills and where not. So you have a nation full of persons with disability, and that's the population that we are talking today. So can we really ignore that population? I don't think so. We don't have a choice at this point in time. So where do we stand from the India disability numbers? That's 2.6 crores, and about 1.6 crores of them are unemployed. A large majority of them are in rural, it's about 70%, and 30% are in the urban population. Now, if I just throw in the numbers there from the math perspective, you will say all these numbers are fine, this is huge, it's beyond me, I can't take this, I don't see them around, so what are you really talking about, right? Okay, so let's talk about the disability pension. So, anybody know what the disability pension really is for a person with disability in this country? No? So, Assam gives about 1,000 rupees. There is a demand for rupees 5,000 in states like Karnataka and Telangana. And even if I consider 1.6 crores multiplied by 5,000, multiplied by 12 months, which is for a year, the number would be 100,000 crores. Where does that money come from? It comes from the corporate taxes. It's come from you and me, who are the taxpayers, and few others who dedicate the tax. Now, if you really ask me, should we be looking at this number, which is the social welfare benefit, or should we be really looking about including persons with disability? Now, I don't want to argue the case because case is right in front of you, and this case proves strong enough that we should look at this population and look beyond the actual facts of disability. Now, that acts as a precursor for my next point, which is the myth. Alright. Okay, what are some of the myths that's really holding us back from actually getting there to include? Now, a lot of us think that disabilities are apparent, right? I mean, people on the wheelchair, people holding a cane, people having a hearing aid and whatnot. Now, that representation of the population is just 1.6 crores. But in reality, disability is a spectrum. It goes beyond visible disabilities. Just because I don't hold a cane, that doesn't mean that I am perfectly fine. I mean, if I've lost my central vision, then I use my peripheral vision to move around, walk around. So not all disabilities are visible. Let's say I'm diabetic. There are certain times during the day when I have to step out of the meeting to inject myself with insulin. Let's say I have dyslexic, so my disability is definitely not visible, but does it really have an impact on work? Of course it does. So there's a need for all of us to think through a whole spectrum and not just look at disabilities as the visible disabilities and put them in pockets, right? Now the second myth which I encounter quite often really is all disabilities are brave and courageous. In reality, I don't think so. We only adapt to the changing circumstances. Let's say I meet up with an accident, I have a head injury, because of which, let's say, my right side of the body is impacted. Now what really is happening? My right hand is shaking, so I can't hold a pen and a paper and write, and I can't really do all of those work that I earlier used to do with my right hand. I use my left hand to compensate that. That's adapting, right? And it similarly means for those with all sorts of disability who come into this whole spectrum when they learn to adapt from whatever the difficulty or the physical challenges that they have faced, right? The next myth is my personal favorite, wherein we say disabilities or persons with disabilities have some kind of a sixth sense. They are specially able, whatnot, right? Just because somebody is deaf and dumb or somebody has a speech and hearing impairment, that doesn't mean that all of them can do lip reading. Just because I am blind, that doesn't mean that I have sixth sense. I have exactly the five senses, one of them is not working. Because one of them is not working, I now try and use my other senses to adapt to the changed reality, to make complete sense of the world, and that only means that my other senses are much more evolved, and it doesn't mean that I have sixth sense, right? The fourth one is another thing that I see more common, which is disability people like to be around with their own kind. So what do? We hire a bunch of disabled people either into the departments where they all put together, like for example the HR, the admin, the sales and whatnot, and say, you know, all of you all talk to each other. But when we're talking real inclusion, the real inclusion innovation happens when people with disability and people who are temporarily disabled intermingle, and that intersectionality is what brings in the innovation. Now, where does this myth really come from, right? For long, we have segregated and secluded people with disability to go into certain set of schools. They don't come into the inclusive schools. They don't work or study with people who are not having disabilities. So it's segregated all along. Now, by doing the similar thing in the corporate, we are actually doing a greater disservice to them. The last one, right? And this is something that I would like to really stress upon. So we say, okay, this is a person with disability, so we figure out one particular job that he or she can do, that tag the job along, and then they don't really have career aspirations. They're not an admission list, you know, because they don't find jobs easier, you know. Let's take them for granted, just put them in one job. How different is that from 50 years ago when we said, oh, women hiring, they are good at secretary jobs and nurses. How different is that? Just imagine, how different is that? It's actually no different, right? What we did for women 50 years ago to what we are really doing to persons with disability right now is no different. So just to give an example, there was this person in an organization, let's call him Tom, because I like Tom the journalist, so call him Tom. Now, he was someone with visual impairment. He had 10% of his eyesight. And he was made to actually sit in a mail room, completely secluded from the rest of the employees. And for the next 3 years, all he did was distribute food coupons. What was his qualification really? He was somebody with a commerce background from Bishop Cotton's, extremely good language and English skills. His talent, his capability, all ignored, gone to waste. He could have been a great resource for internal communications in that particular company, but what he did all for the next 3 years was just distribute food coupons. If we are doing that, then we are just doing a tick in the box, like the way we gave jobs to women as secretary and nurses. We are doing no different than what we are right now doing to persons with disability. I think we should go beyond doing some sort of tick in the box box kind of exercise to really looking at much more meaningful involvement. Okay, so what can we really do? We have the math, we have the myth, we have understood the myth. What can we really do? And my ask is just 3 things. And I very consciously put only 3 things because I know it can stay with you, you can remember it, and it's easier for you all to adopt. So we have the awareness, there is CSR law, there is rights for persons with disability. It's time for us to put it in spirits and in action. So how do we really get that into action? So what do we really do there, right? A lot of times I come across this question, how, right? So I am going to answer this question through an anecdotal story. So a long time ago, there was this king, and he was, this is a fiction story, and it happened in Thailand. And in his kingdom, there was a guy who was physically challenged. Nobody talked to him, he was an orphan, but he was very good at pebble shooting. Somehow the village kids, made friends with him. They enjoyed pebble shooting, so they would find him nice and beautiful pebbles and get it to him. And all day he would actually shoot pebbles to the banyan tree and carve out shapes on the leaves of the banyan tree through the pebbles and the shapes, which could actually make the whole kingdom come alive when there was a gentle breeze on the ground, right, through the shapes. Now there's one fine day, the king is on his tour of the kingdom. He comes and there's a drum roll, everybody is asked to go away, and the king happens to sit down that tree and he sees the shapes and he suddenly, what's happening in my kingdom? Who actually did this? Now the kids are all running away because it's the king and they don't really want to be there, right? And somehow the king's soldiers find this guy who came and then, because he couldn't run away because he was physically challenged. And the king asked him, who did this? And this little kid says, I did this. So he says, why don't you come along with me to the kingdom? I have a task for you. And the kid says, okay, fine, I don't mind, let me come, and I don't have any work. So he goes. So the king says, there's this minister in my kingdom, he doesn't let others talk. So what I want you to do is just stay behind the curtains, and as and when this minister opens his mouth, just shoot this chocolate into his mouth so that he doesn't have to talk anymore. And my meetings can go along really well. So the kid says fine, and then the meeting starts. The minister, who's always wanting to talk, opens his mouth. A pebble goes into his mouth, or the chocolate pellet goes into his mouth. So the minister now cannot talk, he shuts his mouth. He tries to do it again the same thing happens. And what happens in the meeting goes seamlessly well because now the other ministers can speak, they can share ideas, and they come up with a greater solution to a problem that they had in hand. Now if that king in that day and age could think through something more innovatively, today we have design thinkers, we have creative people within the organization. Why can't we really think about looking at much more meaningful involvement? It just wants us to come out of our own comfort, barrier and attitudinal zones to think through a solution that can be applicable to all. The second point that I want to make is start small, start gradual, right? A lot of them say, okay, our buildings are not accessible. It takes a lot of investment to change our buildings, it takes a lot of investment to bring in all accessibility, right? Now, who said that all people with disability need accessible buildings? I understand people with physical challenges require accessible buildings, but somebody who has dyslexia may not really require accessible buildings. They can still use the normal ones. So is it true with somebody with low vision or somebody with hearing, speech and hearing impairment? They can still use the existing buildings. They will take some time to get used to the circumstance in the building, but then they are not asking for it. I understand it's required, but it's not required for all sorts of disability. And given that we have an aging population, we have increased health risks, we have people with diabetes, cancer, epilepsy, whatnot in the spectrum of disability. I think we need to look at it from a very broad perspective, start small, start gradual, make certain policy changes like giving flexible work, giving options of, even for that matter, dress code. A lot of us take dress code for granted. We think that formal attire is the best thing to do, but how many of you really thought how difficult it is for somebody on the wheelchair to actually fit into a formula diet, right? I mean, we don't really have adaptive clothing to begin with, so we need to look at subtle changes that we can, which is well within our control, to make that changes and send the message out that we are all inclusive from all sorts of perspectives. And the third thing that I want to kind of talk, and this is again from my personal anecdote, solve for one and you've made a product for many, right? And for a long time, when I started off using mobile phones, way back in 2002, 2003, it was 1100, and the smartphones had come in by 2007 or so. And I did not want to switch to the smartphones simply because I was somebody with low vision and I was so used to this button phones, and the smartphones was just not accessible friendly. I just couldn't see the screen and all of that. Now, I did not make the switch up until 2013. And there were a lot of them who looked down upon me because I was not using the smartphone. I said, it's not about me not being able to afford, it's just that these phones are not accessible. Now, come 2013, I figured out that Apple iPhone had the features that I was looking for. The Zoom and the voiceover could work seamlessly well. Did I make a switch? Yes, I did make a switch. Was I able to afford it? Of course I was able to afford it. I did not give it a second thought, and I actually bought it. Did Apple think of me when they made this product? I don't think so. They probably thought about somebody, Asian population, somebody in the US who may require these features. They did not think about some Sowmya sitting somewhere in India wanting to have or use this feature. But did they make a product for a lot of other people who could really use it? Of course they did. So I think, and Apple is not paying me anything to promote them, right? And I'm just using this as a personal anecdote. They're not paying, and I wish they did. So I think somewhere it's you start small, you solve for one, and you're solving for many. With that, okay. So what is really disability? Disability is just doing things differently, and it is not a deficiency. And I think it's time for all of us to look at how do we really look at embracing doing things differently. With that,